Hey Unity crowd, what's up? Let me introduce RageSuite. RageSuite is the ultimate vector art package for Unity. It includes RageSpline, RageTools and RageTools Pro, making of it the one-stop solution to get all our components from a single, convenient installation package, plus a number of exclusive benefits. You get immediate updates since RageSuite is provided directly from our servers. You get a massive discount, more than 25% discount compared to purchasing all packages separately, and you get exclusive access to our private FTP server with first-hand access to betas and under development features. So let's check it out. This is no tutorial, by the way. The objective is to make it short and sweet, just to show some of the newest features which you get access to by simply importing the RageSuite package. To start with, let's check out the top-down template scene which comes included in the RageSpline folder. So you just find inside FreeCal all the 3 product folders, right? So just come to Demo and open one of the scenes. That's the top-down template one. So you can obviously select the shape and edit the points directly, just like you would do, for example, in Inkscape or Illustrator, and get instant feedback. And the tessellation is done in real time. And in this case, in this specific example, it also generates physics. For you to set up the physics, it's very, very complex. All you have to do is select this drop-down box and select the type of physics that you want. Very, very hard. So you can also now select the Farseer physics mode, and it interacts across all objects in the scene that are using the same physics mode. So we have just a mesh collider. If I want, I could use box it, right? And that's it. The physics is created. If I want to see in the editor, I just enable the physics editor creation option, and then you can see the outline. And then obviously you can increase the number of splits and set the offset. So if you want to have a better spread out shape, okay, around your drawing, you can do it right here interactively. So let's switch back to the mesh collider, hit play, hit pause, and let's see if we can interactively edit those. So let me try to create a wing here. Hey, look at that, it works. And notice how you can actually preserve the curvature, right? Adding points, which is a new feature since RageSpline 1.5, which you also get access in RageSuite, of course. So very handy to define a shape, and you can also change as you're playing the shape and just see how it affects your gameplay. And you can also, of course, if you have an extra point here, you can clean up your shape quickly using the new Smart Remove feature. Okay, so very cool, very handy. And another very interesting feature is the ability to actually use your RageSplines on a perspective viewport, which is something which wasn't available before. So this is the 3-4 birth thing which comes inside Angry Bots, the Angry Bots demo scene, which comes included in Unity, right? So but basically what I did was I just added an empty game object, then I've attached the RageTools SVG in component, and then I selected one SVG, in this case Banana Republic. Okay, so I don't really have to mess with anything else, just click import, and then I get my image. Of course it was a bit scaled up, but that's all there is to it when you want to import an SVG. Okay, so from there on you can select the shape that you want, okay, which is this one right now. So I can, for instance, tweak the subdivision level for each shape just using Rage Group. So I just enable tweak, and I can increase or decrease the anti-aliasing values. I can make it more curvy or more subdivided or less subdivided. Okay, so I have perfect control here. When I'm happy, I can get rid of this guy, which is basically what I did. So I just scaled everything down and placed it right here on this wall. So let's just get rid of this one and enable this guy here, which I have previously placed just for time's sake. So you can already see it on the game view. Okay, and that's all there's to it, really. I just want to show you guys that this is actually completely perfectly aligned in the 3D view. And all I had to do was to, in SVG, select the 3D mode, okay? So that all the RageSplines included also come with the 3D mode setting enabled, okay? And you can notice that now I can simply move this guy around, and I can intersect with the bot, so you can see that it's truly a 3D shape, okay? So I can place it anywhere I want, I can rotate it, I can do whatever I want. I can even intersect multiple shapes and build completely new shapes using these vector plates. Yeah, you can use RageTools to model block-like shapes. That's true. You probably didn't know about that. So let me just hit play. And you can see that it works perfectly, right? Let me pass it close. And you're probably thinking, hey, but I could use a texture to that. Yeah, probably. But now tell me, could you do this using a texture? I guess not, right? Well, at least not with a single texture. And of course, the cool thing is that it's resolution independent. It doesn't, it'll never give you blockiness or you know, other artifacts associated with bitmap graphics. So that's it. Another huge advantage with the new RageSpline. Let's now quickly check out other features. Let me show you how to create separate parts characters using the Pivot Tools branch mode. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention that vector graphics never need to re-import in Unity. So if you're tired of waiting hours while Unity re-import your graphics, well, you might consider vectors as well, because they simply do not suffer from this problem at all, which is great. So let me just show you guys how can I process using Pivot Tools a separate parts character. This was built using Illustrator, exported to Inkscape. It's a really typical character, so I'll simply import it here. It's already assigned, so that I can show you guys how does it work. So the thing is, when you import a graphic, you get this pivot is fixed, right, for the elements, because every element uses the top left corner of your art drawing as a reference, and that's not what we want to animate, right? We want these parts to be properly aligned to their specific pivot points. So to make the process easier, we can simply draw those pivot named shapes, like here on the child of the head, right, or in the arm. You're gonna see pivot named shapes everywhere. It doesn't matter the suffix; those are added by SVG when they're exported. But of that, all it cares about is that it's named as pivot. The routine is smart enough to take care. How do we work that out? Very simple. Simply select the root game object for your art, and then make sure you have attached pivot tools. Just attach it normally as usual, and then instead of the geometric default option, select per branch. And yeah, I want to delete the pivot reference, which are those circle shapes. They could be squares, they could be whatever you want. It's just so that the routine tracks the geometric center of them, and then it applies to their parents, right? Which is what we want. So let's just click center. And apparently nothing happened. But notice that now, as soon as I select arm left and the black dots are gone, I can now, hey, look at that. I can already rotate it around. I can do the same for forearm and so on. Everything is preset. And if I had set the right hierarchy here, for instance, if I had on Inkscape or Illustrator, I had parented things as I wanted them to be. For instance, the head is a child of the body. The structure would come across perfectly, which is a huge time saver. And you might be guessing, okay, how do I get rid of this overlapping outline? Very, very simple, because you can't forget that in spite of all the advantage of using vectors, you're also working on 3D space. So you can literally, for instance, in this guy, you can just select the outline and move it to the back, and notice here that it's instantly fixed, right? You didn't see here because I didn't import the art using the 3D mode toggle. If you're just using flat ortho view for your game, it's best to not use it because you're going to save up on draw calls, right? So you can do the same for all the rest. Just select the shape and select the outline, move it backwards, and so on and so forth. And your character is ready to be animated. But what if you want real deformations, inverse kinematics, constraints, and all those advanced features? That's where RageTools Pro kicks in. Actually, constraint is part of RageTools, but if you're getting RageSuite, you get everything at once anyways. But for deformation, we use magnets. And how do they work? Very simple here. Instead of having separate parts, you'll notice that now I'll get actual magnets, which are nothing but colliders, which are used to define a region of influence. So if I select here the roots, I'm gonna get all of them, right? But if I want just to check the spine, very simple. I just select it here, and I can just click on Show Weights, so it shows the influence. What are the points that are being affected in this case by this rage group, which if I select here is going to show you that this guy is here. So in this case, I've made a nice hierarchy just to make things easier to handle, and you know, as usual, just as in 3D rigging, naming things properly, structuring them properly is your safest bet, right? So actually I can select whatever I want. For instance, if I have here the chest and I rotate it, you notice that it deforms. Okay, it's not a separate part. It actually deforms the character, which is awesome. I can also get the magnet for the arms. Let me just get here the arm right or the arm left, and I can rotate it, or this one is separated, but the forearm, for instance, and you notice the deformation is really nice. It's really smooth. Okay, so this can be used to deform your characters in a number of smart ways. But this wouldn't be cool enough if we couldn't actually place and animate those limbs using IK. Let's check how we do this. You can see here I have the IK lag, I have the ball controller. How do these guys work? If I just click on move, you can see that I can really move them around, okay, and it deforms according to the magnets. And to set this up couldn't be easier. If I just select here the Rage IK, assign it to this guy, you notice that it's here. So I just attach Rage IK to the root objects, right? This obviously has other magnets for the foot left, for the ball of the foot. Okay, so I simply had to come to auto setup, drag and drop here the end joint that I wanted. In this case, I use a slight offset, right? It's just a guy separate from the end to make things more controllable. And then I just, just drag it here and click apply auto setup. Okay, the other options, you probably want them as their default values. It auto sets up the IK, and then it adds these components, which are the rotation limiters. And you can simply click one by one. Okay, you can see here joint limiter, and you just, drag what's the minimum rotation. So imagine this lag band here, or it completely stretched. How much do you want it to rotate forward or rotate backwards? And you do that part by part, and it's done. You can test it here just by moving the controller. And to have a separate control for the ball of the foot, you notice that here under my IK, as a child of it, I have a ball controller which uses a rage constraint, which is enabled. The follower obviously is the magnet of the left ball, as expectable, and I'm making it follow the rotation, and I have on settings that it should follow rotation on all angles. If I want, I can restrict one of these channels, but in this case it's not really needed. Very powerful way to set up your characters. So last but not least, let's check out RageSprite. So you're already seeing here in action the RageSprite Hunter scene. If you want to test it on your computer, we have it on our website. Just click on it to view it, the demo, right? So how is that built? How does this guy work? This is no deformation, of course. We're using a sequence of frames in our RageSprite component, which works just like what you would come to expect from a regular bitmap sprite component for Unity, right? So how does it work? Pretty simple. Just create a new animation, like this one. You can have multiple, right? Then you just enable this option here so it adds the children, and then you can drag and drop this guy, and it automatically is going to include everyone with parented to the root dropped guy, right? So from there on, you can reorder the frames however you want. You can shift click to move them to the bottom or to the top, okay? And that's the base frame delay, which is the base timing used to determine how much each frame will be held. If you want specific additional times, you just add these values here. So if I hit play now, you're seeing a preview on our draft mode, and notice that this shows in all your views at once. It's very, very handy, okay? And you can also here on settings enable the quality preview, right? So you can see everything curved and with high quality. This is not recommended for very complex shapes, but in this case works just fine, okay? And you can from there on simply click here and generates a clip on your root, right, on your project root, and by default it's going to be added to your animation clip, which is then played automatically in this case. That's what I did basically. No big deal, right? Just showcase this guy. If you want to add a bit more of a pause level here, just add this extra delay, and when you hit preview play, you see that it holds a bit more on the first frame. Very easy to tweak and get exactly the result you want for each animation. Okay, so one of the great advantages of this system is that it uses regular animation clips, right? So it's got the best possible performance on mobile devices. Last but not least, our GUI buttons. They were completely set up without any custom line of code using the Rage button component. Very, very simple to use. All you have to do is define tags or strings, names that you're going to hook up to each event. Click event, the hovering event when you point your mouse on top of it, and hover out. What happens when you remove your pointer from the top of the button? And then you create twins using Hot Twin, which is included in our package. It's a free component, an excellent one, by the way, where you simply add tags here on the ID field, and then you define if you wanted to zoom in or out, how long it's going to take, if it's going to twin to that value or from that value. Okay, so many cool options. How many times it's going to loop. So for instance, I did the same on the city close. I just have two separate parts here, and once this part gets here, it moves back, and so on and so forth, simply using a twin. Alright, very simple to do. I just set this to -1 so it becomes infinite, and I move this guy to -2000. How do I know it's 2000? Well, I've created the art using 2000 units in Illustrator, so I know exactly that it's got 2000, and when you bring it in using SVG, it has exactly 2000 units of width, which is very, very handy for this kind of thing. So this one goes to -2000, this one starts on 2000 and ends at 0, so that's the final result. You see that I just point over it and it zooms in. I remove it, it zooms out. So, and I also added some additional twins here to show edge tune and other effects that we have. Okay, so very, very simple to set this up, completely codeless, very, very powerful. So don't miss RageSuite. If you don't have RageSpline, RageTools and RageTools Pro yet, that's the perfect chance. You get a huge discount, you get the complete package, a single import package, no hassle, and the fastest possible updates. Right? So very proud to bring all this power to you guys. And if you have any questions, just check back on us in the forums, Twitter, email. We'll be glad to hear from you. See you in the next video. Bye bye.